born in Baghdad, Iraq, as a Chaldean, who are descendants of the ancient Neo-Babylonians who still speak Aramaic, the language of Jesus. Though my people are the indigenous people of Iraq, over time, we became minority Christians in a Muslim country. Growing up as a Chaldean in Iraq came with its challenges, but one memory stands out as a moment that shaped me and taught me about fear, resilience, and the power of storytelling. It was 1979, and Saddam Hussein had just come into power in Iraq. I was 8 years old, and our teacher told us it was mandatory to attend Saddam's parade celebrating his presidency. That day, my niece, who was about 6 months older than me, came over with my sister and asked, "Do you want to sleep over?" I hesitated, explaining about the parade, but my mother and sister dismissed it, saying, "It's not a big deal." They gave me permission to go, so I stayed at my sister's house that night. The next day at school, we stood in the courtyard for the national anthem, as we did every morning. The principal announced that 2 girls hadn't attended the parade. She called the first girl a 6th grader. I remember her walking up, her braids swinging. The principal raised a ruler and struck her hands. The girl, tears streaming down her face, returned to her place. Then my name was called. I walked between the rows of students and stood before the principal. She glared at me with her red lipstick and angry lips. She asked, "Why didn't you come to Saddam's parade?" Before I could answer her question, her hand struck my face. I don't remember the impact of the slap. I passed out either from the slap or the fear or both. I just remember waking up in my classroom surrounded by my teacher and classmates who tried to cheer me up. They joked, "You didn't miss much at the parade." That day, I didn't tell my mother what had happened, but I later learned that my cousin did. We didn't speak of it for years. In fact, there were many things we didn't speak about. We whispered Saddam's name in our home, afraid of who might hear. Even the word America, when mentioned in letters from my brother, was whispered like a dangerous secret. The second time the principal slapped me, it was because I didn't know the answer to a question my teacher asked, and she'd sent me to the principal's office. The third slap didn't happen because shortly after we left Iraq, one day we were in Baghdad, and the next day, poof, we were in Amman, Jordan. We couldn't get a visa directly to the US, so we spent nearly a year in Jordan. My younger brother and I couldn't attend school because we weren't registered residents. During that time, I discovered Gone with the Wind. At 9 years old, I devoured the novel in Arabic, falling in love with Scarlett O'Hara's bravery. My family even took me to the theater to see the film with Arabic subtitles. That was my first time going into a theater, and it was my first glimpse of America. Eventually, we boarded a plane to New York. I remember staring at the Statue of Liberty, not fully understanding what it meant. From there, we flew to Detroit and were driven to a house in Shelby Township. I stayed quiet during the ride, wondering, where are the horse carriages and women in puffy dresses? I quickly learned that Michigan in 1981 was not Atlanta, Georgia in 1861. That night, I lay on the bottom bunk bed, staring at the ceiling. It hit me. We had left Iraq for good. I would never see my friends or my birthland again. Tears came, and they would return for many nights. In the United States, the principal and teachers were kind, doing what they could to help me acclimate. Some girls welcomed me, while others bullied me. My family was in survival mode, busy making ends meet, so no one explained why we had to leave or what had happened. I often felt torn, part of me still in Baghdad, the other here in Michigan. As I watched Iraq suffer through wars, sanctions, and the devastation of ISIS, I struggled to understand why I was saved while others, like my best friend Niran, We're not. Years later, I came across Lynn V. Andrews, author of the Medicine Women series. When I called her for literary advice, I realized the weight of the story about the principal who had slapped me. For years, I stopped telling it. People dismissed it, saying others went through worse. But the memory lingered like a dark cloud. Slowly, I began to connect the dots. The slap had instilled a fear in me that lingered for years. I realized how deeply this incident and others had shaped me. When I finally shared my story, I heard from people around the world. Some said it reminded them of their own moments of humiliation and fear. Others said it gave them the courage to share their stories for the first time. Oppression, I learned, has many faces. I was once an interpreter where I met a young Muslim woman who entered the hospital on a stretcher, never imagining that she would leave in a wheelchair. The bruises on her body told a story no doctor could fix. The weight of her family's rules and punishments had broken her. Then there was the book talk I was scheduled to give about my book Pomegranate. It was canceled at the last minute because my story was deemed controversial by Muslims. And when I tried to screen my film Pomegranate, the first Iraqi American feature narrative and led by women talent, an Arab organization made excuses to avoid hosting it. Yet despite attempts to silence it, Pomegranate took flight, winning over 40 international awards and becoming available in 25 countries. Over the years, I found my way. I've published 21 books, directed an award-winning documentary, and created Pomegranate. Hearing from people in 25 countries who found hope or strength in my work makes this journey even more special. Storytelling isn't just about healing ourselves, it's about connecting with others. It's about building bridges between experiences across cultures and continents. This is what storytelling does. It reminds us that no matter where we are or where we come from, we have the power to rewrite not just our stories, but to inspire others to rewrite theirs. I guess this is what you would call the American dream. Being able to come here and through the freedom to express yourself, not just change your story, but inspire the world.